As we are starting with last panel, so we got a privilege that talk about the AI roadmap for India. So we have the industry experts. So I have got a privilege to ask question and get the insights for you guys. So we'll start with the AI journey and roadmap of India, how it is helps and industry experts opinion on that. So Tusharji and Dharmeshji, you are from the industry, well known in the AI domains and IoTs and robotics and consumers technologies. So first question is, what role does the Make in India initiative plays in creating a sustainable ecosystem for AI embedded technologies?
Yeah. So Make in India has been a strategic enabler for creating a sustainable ecosystem for AI embedded system. We at our organization has seen that transformation firsthand. We have been part of certain government initiatives in critical defense system where the environment of Make in India enabled us to develop very strategic AI embedded system for critical applications where we could retain the IP and have our own sustainable manufacturing environment for those type of products. Okay, so as a conclusion, Make in India, really has enabled a very, very robust and sustainable environment for AI embedded systems.
Maybe I would add to my colleague where we see the lot of drive from government that actually started Make in India, but not only from the industry standpoint, but also on the academia standpoint, if I may say. My son who already passed out 2 years back from IIT Mandi, and Mandi is one of the, IIT Mandi was one of the, premier institute, started in 2019, the AI and ML, specific BTech in AI ML, and that was, when also the premier institutes have started also collecting all the insights from industries that, okay, what kind of, the syllabus, the curriculum, so all the students who passes out, they are, immediately employable. So that is where they started, and when I visited in 2019, where I saw the syllabus on data science, so they were already considering the embedded, the R, the Python, right from, the second semester onwards. So I think that is where all this initiative, it's not only, Dharmesh, what you are highlighting, the industry, but I would say also on the academia, government already started looking into that all the students should get employable and they can contribute to the industry.
Certainly, certainly.
Yes, Prashant, you have any take on this?
Yes, I want to add two specific instances where I think Government of India's initiative are widely acknowledged. One is in the World Economic Forum, there is AI for AI strategy which was developed. Anyone know AI for AI? Okay, for agriculture industry, Government of India has rolled out artificial intelligence supported system where farmers of Tamil Nadu have got benefited because of the crop management system that they have introduced. I think almost 2,000 to 3,000 farmers have got benefited out of it. And a second most important initiative, I think, which all of us know, the Kumbh Mela. Anyone know how many cameras were there in Kumbh Mela? Any guess? Wide guess? Okay. So there were around 5,000 cameras which were installed, and the occupancy detection was done through AI. Almost, I think, 6 crore of pilgrimage were there, and the traffic was managed through AI. So what I believe is the government has already laid down the base. There is also the startup fund, I think almost 22,000 crores of fund for next 6 years is available for AI startups. So these are some of the avenues which we can encash. Apart from that, industry is developing, and there are certain projects which are in nascent stage, yes, but I think those are also growing. So this is what I can say.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah,
add
Manan, you want
maybe
to add?
a minute on that, right? So, I mean, I think we have to also understand the why, right? I mean, fantastic examples here. Right? I think all of us would believe that the smartest engineering workforce and the largest engineering workforce of the world sits here in India, right? And we've always been doing the most, I mean, we started as an outsourcing economy many years back, but over the years we have been doing the most smartest use cases on AI, ML, IoT, and all of that, but largely doing it for the world, right? And we believe that in India there is not so much propensity to pay and all of that, right? And now, government by creating that ecosystem, the investment and public-private partnerships are trying to change that, right? For example, agriculture, you wouldn't believe that a farmer can pay for AI, right? But how do you connect the dots is where the government's role comes in, right? So that technology companies like most of the panelists here and a lot of them in the room can invest, with an ROI in India, right? That's the first part. The second part of why government should do it or is doing it, and it's great that they're doing it, is also that lot of the power epicenter in the world has shifted towards information, right? So what you hear, what you see is what you believe, right? And that's the information and information going out can actually manipulate a lot of things, right? So for example, the Kumbh Mela example that you took, most of the camera chipsets were, in the past made in China, right?
Yeah.
And now, government is making sure that the camera chipsets of all companies are actually manufactured in India with a protocol called STQC, yeah? And things like that, right? So that at least your data security plus governance remains in India, and a lot of use cases are then governed by India by providing that ecosystem and platform for everybody to be able to actually drive it, right? So that's the why part of it that I wanted to just add.
Definitely. I think, Akshay, definitely you would like to add some more, but next question is related to that. Only government cannot do something. So industry, startups, and collaboration between the government, how accelerate the innovation in AI embedded systems is what, Akshay, you would like to add into it.
Absolutely. So I will second that what the panelist has already mentioned, right? And I will give, so the company that I represent, Addverb Technologies, is a best example of and Make It India initiative where it's a warehouse automation company. We make robots. These robots are designed in India. These are manufactured in India and eventually deployed all across the globe. So I think so typically the, coming back to the question for the initiative, right from the government. So for example, the factory that was built for organization. So we have a factory for our robots that's built in Noida and was inaugurated by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji. So eventually this initiative, that help that we're getting from the government, and eventually also coming back to academics. So today, so we hire a lot of freshers typically for the robotic teams that we build in. And the expectation is that since it's a niche technology, we always need more experienced team members, but that's not the case. Today, the academics involve courses like Python, Docker, which are extensively used for our robotics deployment, and that helps. So that helps is coming from the government of India.
Right. So not only like from the government of India, industry is also doing the collaboration with the global organizations. For example, Reliance doing with the NVIDIA, and they are coming with investment to give the skills and improve the skills of the Indian people so that it can contribute for the AI journey. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Dharmesh, you would like to add?
Yeah, just adding to that, the initiatives of the government that we have experienced, actually those problem statements itself are, business propositions for a small startup. So many of these problem statements have basically become business modules for our divisions, and those divisions have been offloaded as startups. So with the agility of the startup, the scaling ability of the industry, and the partial funding from the government, along with the the problem statement of the government to solve with a targeted MOQ also, really has helped in creating this very, very strong and sustainable environment for AI. And the embedded system in AI is becoming more and more important because of the energy efficiency requirement. Those get answered because of the embedded technologies itself.
Good. So discussion is going with very good initiatives and comments from the industry leaders. So next question is Prashantji. I think strategic initiatives are crucial for fostering the robust research and development in ecosystem in AI development. So what is the strategic initiative has to be there in this AI journey?
Yeah, I think previous speaker mentioned that there is a issue with availability of data, and to make that data accessible to all, it is important that all the industries collaborate together. I am from automotive background, so I will give example of automobile industry, where the classic example is General Ford and Chrysler earlier came together to set up a governing standard for quality. Something like that one has to evolve for artificial intelligence, because it is a niche field and new field. I think that is the key. One more thing I want to emphasize is, and because this is accessible to all, Government of India also providing data access. Again, that is non-personal. So, for example, I will give you my particular example. I was researching on one topic on accidental research, and there is a huge data available. Only the thing is, we have to get it through proper channels and use it for the benefit of the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, Mananji.
Actually, just to add on that, because I've personally experienced accident research quite closely. I mean, data availability is one big topic, right? So one of the organizations I worked for before, the first problem statement was that, I mean, the idea was that everybody knows that, there are safety technologies which can help, let's say, save lives from accidents and all of that, right? It could be ABS, ESP, or things like that, right? And the first problem statement when we went to the regulatory bodies was that, hey, there's proven data to show that if you had this safety system in the car, a certain accident could have been avoided. And the government of India, right, asked us, how can you prove that, right? And we said there are research reports, there are data in Germany, in US, but there's no data in India, right? So the last 10, 15 years, there's been so much data collection now being done on live accident sites to then actually run all the models and the AI on that data set, that we are now experiencing this with, and this data is now available, as Prashant was saying, that now we can access and build models, and now we are seeing so many regulations on airbags, ABS, ESP coming in India, and we being able to prove with data that this is possible, right? So that's one thing of data availability. Second thing on strategic initiatives really is that, I think the key is with AI, I think, spoke about education a little bit, but early start is very, very important, and government is doing that quite a bit, right? Now in most schools, there is something called as Atal Tinker Labs, right? Where you actually, and this is there at grassroots at tier 2, tier 3 cities, where there are AI labs being set up by government of India at grassroots level schools. So people start early, they get access to a lot of data, and then they become the future entrepreneurs. Is I think a great strategic initiative.
Great. So we have a lot of data, and now we are processing to the next level, how we can get the data, and then implementing the AI algorithms on top of that, and it is using in the products. So next thing is still global level. Next question is related to that. So global level, a lot of progress is there in AI roadmap. what are the lessons can India leaders or India has to be learned from global leaders to ensure the ethical AI implementation and practices and regulations in AI embedded domain? So, Akshay, you would like to add some points here?
So one of the point I would add is that typically, so organizations, so I'll give an example of Addverb Technologies, right? So the engineers today, as Cisco certification, we have Microsoft certification. Similarly, now we have AI certification for security. So there's certification, for example, CAISF. So that is Certified AI Security Engineer. And I think so that is something that is coming up. It is involved in academics. It is also involved in, third-party, organizations that are now providing this certification. Helps that at the base level, at the root level, we are certified, we are knowledgeable enough about AI and security.
So I think we have to address this question as Indians in this room, right? That while we always keep listening to ethics and standards and safety standards, data security standards, EU GDPR, and things like that, right? We always give examples of global standards to say, and companies, global companies here, that hey, these are the data security standards that we follow and things like that. But in India, there is a saying, India mein life ka value kam hai and data ka value kam hai, right? So we all keep thinking that, yeah, I mean, it's okay, chalta hai, right? In an Indian use case perspective. And that's where I think it is changing now. That's where as Indians, we have to be far more responsible in sharing data, in understanding the importance of data, and also using it on the business context use cases. And that's where standards, and we have to demand the highest level of standards while buying a product as well, right? I mean, when it comes to your personal data, cost cannot be the only factor that you buy a product for, right? I mean, it's cheap, so I'll buy it. It's okay if my data is not secure, right? That mindset, now with the fallacies and the problems that we're seeing with cybersecurity and all, I think it's coming in the generation to come. And I think it's important as responsible citizens that it comes with us as well. And we have to really learn this best practice while we really pride ourselves with the technology adoption of UPI and other things. But we have to also question ourselves that are we being resilient as an economy? Are we being responsible as citizens to look at the use of our own data and how easily are we okay to give it out, right? So I think that is one thing from an ethical point of view as a, not as an organization, but as a citizen we have to look at, right? The second thing I would want to say here, that what can we learn from, I mean, the question was that what can we learn from global organizations and all. I think ethics is not a question of AI only, right? Ethics has been a prevalent topic in all business environments, right? Business ethics is taught at all MBA schools today. And business ethics is about doing the right thing in the right environment, right? Even the situation is tough, you still end up doing the right thing, right? There are so many examples where, I mean, it's not only learning about the good things from the world, right? There are so many examples of ethical issues that global companies have seen, right? I mean, without naming companies, there was a very large automotive company, very, very reputed, which was charged, $18 billion, as you said, because what they did was, in emission testing, for example, whenever they detected that it's a test code, they would emit less, right? And when the vehicle was actually running on the ground, it would emit a lot more, right? So they've passed all emission testing and where the least emitting vehicle according to certifications, European certifications, and still actually were emitting a lot more, right? So it's not only about ethical standards, it's also about making sure those checks and balances are there at every stage of software development, business testing, use case development, and those practices come from within as citizens in the first example, and as global workers in the second example. And that's what, I mean, if we are honest and ethical, I think that will same apply for AI because the dangers are far more. Yeah.
Right. Tusharji, you have same opinion like we need not to learn. We have already ethical
exactly.
process. Yeah, you would like to add?
I resonate what Manan mentioned. I think, I would put the question what you put forward, I would put it other way around. The global leaders should learn from India. The scale what we have, 1.4 billion out of probably 7 billion, 1.4 billion and another 1.4 probably in China. So the Southeast Asia, we have the largest we are the largest data producer, I would say, right? The largest users of Facebook or LinkedIn and all that. So now we are looking at GDPR, I mean, a few years back. And if you look at in 2023, September, when government already passed the DPDP Act in the parliament, and now all the industry like in the banking, insurance, healthcare, where of course embedded plays also a vital role where the healthcare comes. So there we have to see how the DPDP Act, which is much more powerful than the GDPR, right? So here we are already thinking about all those ethics and the example what Manan you gave about one of the automotive where huge fine was. So we work much ethically in India. So that is how I would see the question other way around.
That's good perspective from Tusharji from your side. And as you said, that DPDP is already applied for data protection, personal data protection. Similarly, it is GDPR from the Europe. So we are not following, we are leaders also. That's good. So next question is how can advancement in age of AI, energy efficient technology contributes to creating the globally competitive ecosystem for AI development? So Dharmesh ji, you would like to give?
Moving, ahead, we are moving in an era of which is I would call as an energy era, where the balance of energy demands is going to be very critical, and AI, embedded AI system and open AI systems are going to contribute very greatly into green tech. Okay. We have seen the partnerships of AI innovators and semiconductor companies where they are working on technologies to have low-powered chipsets, which are very important. And many of the decision-making in the compute environment of AI is moving towards edge computing. That also helps a lot in reducing energy consumption by the AI itself. And another aspect is that the AI models, for example, I'll give you an example of my own company where we are running a project for an autonomous navigation for a shipping vessel. And over there, besides the navigation per se itself, the AI is actually monitoring and enhancing the efficiency of the overall ship propulsion. Okay, it is also managing the recycling of the carbon output by managing the carbon capture and converting into secondary fuel in the form of methanol or ammonia to run the vessel on those particular fuels, at least partially. So I feel the AI and green tech will run very greatly hand in hand, and there will be a huge number of public and private partnership. And those areas will flourish in the next, we are seeing it already now, but we'll see a very big surgence of this, and that will itself be a big market segment for us.
Yeah, can I add? Just, I was reading an article about Atlas Copco, where they are using the Gen AI for monitoring the efficiency and performance of their genset. They are almost, they are deployed at customer sites, and more than, I think, 10,000 odd gensets are monitored in a single environment. So at the same time, I think earlier predictive maintenance was also one of the criteria, where the efficient use of energy and downtime reduction. These are the two factors which are very, I can say, very complex things, but they are well monitored, they are well checked and effectively serviced. So this also in turn, reduces the efficiency losses, and which is useful. Yeah.
So Mananji, you want to? Okay, so regarding this again is a related question to make that strategic collaboration. What are the strategic collaboration is essential to ensure that India leadership in AI system with focus on energy, efficiency and scalability?
I'll take the first question first and come to this, right? So we spoke about 3 E's, right? Embedded, energy and efficiency, right? So first part is, as Dharmesh ji mentioned, energy is the new, wave now, new business. And I think we are definitely already we are living in the energy economy now. I mean, the political scenarios in the world are slightly different these days, but still, from that perspective, I think energy efficiency as a use case across all the use cases that both of them spoke about is very, very important, right? But embedded has a big role to play as well to drive this because today, for example, I work at Honeywell and we are an industrial controls and building controls provider, and most of our even control technology today would be connected by default, right, going forward. Now, if you're connected by default, that means the amount of data that you generate is humongous, right? And machines generating so much data, like it's almost like machines and your controllers are talking now. And with all of this data, the data has to be processed. If the data has to be processed and everything has to be sent to a central server or cloud, there's huge compute, huge energy, huge requirement that goes in there, right? And that's where embedded and edge AI plays a huge role, right? That how can you reduce the data transfer and data storage by processing a lot of critical things on the edge, right? By doing that, you actually solve a lot more use cases on, critical applications like healthcare, predictive maintenance, and a lot of things where there's so much of data being generated, and you have those micro chipsets, really nano chipsets being developed, where you could actually package a lot of compute on the edge to be able to take critical decisions right on that, be it for buildings, be it for industries, be it for healthcare, and things like that, right? So basically, that means that by embracing edge AI and embedded technologies, we are actually looking at energy efficient technologies, right? Now, in that, by doing all of this, digital has one big role that either it generates you more revenue by being digital, right? Like all the startups, or it helps you reduce, your cost, right? You do more for less. That's efficiency, right? So efficiency is the third E we spoke about, and that's where this is coming in. Now, in terms of collaboration and partnerships and the ecosystem that you spoke about, the fourth E, if we take it like that, ecosystem, it's very important, right? Because for some industries, we've always seen that there are standards developed first, and then there is a lot of collaboration and then technology happening, right? For example, automotive, if we go back to, from EE architecture to anything that was there before, there were always AUTOSAR standards, so many standards developed first, and then everybody embracing that standard. But today, in the almost race for who gets autonomous first, who gets electrical first, who has the most advanced AI, almost everybody is doing their own thing, right? Right from Gen AI to this side, right? And there is almost two worlds, right? The worlds who control the data and the open ecosystem, right? So there are backers of the open ecosystem and then the backers of the closed ecosystem, really, right? So I think there is still a lot of evolving ecosystem, but each industry really needs to look at what are that common set of standards, drivers, and regulations that everybody would follow. And industry leaders should take forefront along with government in that to make sure that that level of standardization is there. While fair competition is good, but a level of standardization to make sure that we all act responsibly, and then there is a lot of collaboration in the ecosystem to drive forward, right? So I think that's the ecosystem that we need to really look at.
So, next question is related to how AI accelerate the product development and streamline the regulatory process for embedded systems. I think Tusharji, you have, yeah.
You want to go first?
Can start.
Right. So now here we are talking about two aspects. So if I take the compliance aspects first.
So this way definitely, but I think the product development skills can, product development output can be improved. Last point I want to mention is why, because we know China Earlier, the product development cycle was almost 4 years in automotive industry. With the competition from China, it is now almost 1.5 years. So not only software, not only hardware, but the physical infrastructure is built within 1.5 years, and the product is launched in China. Are we capable in India? I will say partially yes, but not fully. And how that can be? So to using, the specific applications of tools like AI, we can definitely reach to that how it's, yeah.
I think good perspective coming out. Discussion is going very good, but with the time constraint, if you have any questions, we can take it in last 5 minutes. What we discussed, like all industry experts are saying how Make in India is helping for AI roadmap for India, as well as what is the strategic collaboration has to be done between industries, governments, and global leaders in AI, global companies or industries in AI, as well as how the AI is helping for embedded systems to improve the quality, reliability, and product reliabilities. So with this, we can hear some questions and we can answer. Yes, please. Can someone provide the mics? Yeah, here.
Thank you.
Yes,
So I just have one very simple question. Your investments in AI in your companies, the non-confidential part of about it, as in you spend some in, let's say, the model development, or let's say you spent in development of some tools by which you can train better or something like that in your companies, if you can share, so that we come to know that where the roadmap of global leadership from India is going. That's all.
So I think I will take first answer, then you can add. So nowadays, each company understands the importance of AI to be applied in their products and then services and all these things. So all companies are thinking in terms of the investments, and they're upfront they are allocating the capex and then investing into it. So I think there should not be a question for like why they are investing or why not investing. Maybe industry experts can comment more.
Yes, one first, of course, as far as business improvement investment is concerned, that is, said and done, and there are a lot of answers to it. One of the, since we are on the forum of embedded AI, one of the, investment that we have done as an organization without the demand from the customer is to create certain embedded AI on our existing products, which add as a differentiator when it goes out into the market.
Edge AI.
Yeah, it's Edge AI, yes, Edge AI. And one of the, areas that contribute specifically into heavy engineering and energy system is to have an AI, embedded AI, which can give information in terms of prescriptive and predictive analytics on board over there. Okay, and so that it can give the remaining use life of that particular product. Okay, so this is something that as a differentiator we invested for the development without actual customer demand, okay, and then presented as a product.
Okay.
Let me, add to what. So before I joined my current organization, the question what you are asking, yeah, I was part of Atlas Copco Group for a huge 2 decades, where my colleague mentioned about gensets, but it is not gensets, but it is compressors. And the compressors, more than 200,000 compressors being monitored right here from India, in Pune. And where the critical alarms, alerts, when to really change oil filter, air filter, whatever different aftermarket components. How can we do if we don't have the data, right? How can we, now if there are warranty claims, whether it is warranty claim, whether it is goodwill, so all this data which we collect at every fraction of second on temperature, pressure, humidity, vibration, and then apply algorithm in the different condition where the machines are being used. And that's where this algorithm really helps us that, okay, what we need to stock, where, what component, aftermarket components and all. So this is where the AI, really the investment in AI with the hardware and all that, and with data lake, I mean, a lot of data and algorithm really plays a vital role. But that's the vision every organization is saying, not today already, much.
Specifically for Edge AI, are you making any investments in models? As in, you need to make, let's say, Edge AI components or let's say devices. For that, to put AI into that, you need a model. So that model, are you spending somewhere for that model as investments? Are you looking at broader fields of intelligences that you want to embed into the AI? Is what I'm
I'm
asking.
able to get your question because of a lot of
As in,
He's want to understand how you are investing into making the models and all these things. That is his question, right?
yeah, yes, right. As in,
See, again, nothing, the world is not perfect. You have to really do that investment and really apply the algorithms and see how near are you with those, whatever, where you see the real case happen in the real life. Then you apply and see that, okay, how your model is really accurate. There you have to continue to really invest, fine tune.
Just to add on, right, I mean, just to give you a framework, right, because if we talk about use cases in this panel, we can go on for maybe the next 3 hours. So I'll not cover use cases. I think all of our conglomerates or large companies have a lot of use cases that are being worked on. And Edge AI, of course, see, basically every product is getting connected, every service is getting connected, and you have to give availability, reliability, and high speed efficiency to all your systems. And that means a lot of things would move to Edge, right? And in that, every company is either investing or partnering with a lot of algorithm development and model development for specific use cases, right? But all of us here represent a B2B environment, industrial environment, right? So I'll just give you a framework for B2B companies to look at any technology investment. They do it only for 3 purposes. And if you put that framework, you'll be able to find use cases yourself. So any B2B company, because B2C is very different. In B2B company, we're doing only 3 things, right? Either we are improving the efficiency. That means you're doing more for less, right? Predictive maintenance, prescriptive maintenance, getting asset life, right? Like gen sets or DG sets, as we spoke about. I mean, it's about efficiency and, making sure that either your worker or your machine or your process does more, right? So that's the set of use cases. The second use case of digitization is really to earn more revenue, as he said, right? Product differentiation with embedding AI in all the products, right? Which others may not do or may do it on cloud or things like that, right? So how can you make new revenue streams? For example, a battery becomes a connected battery. And when it's a connected battery, then you know when to service it, when to really look at the life cycle management, and all asset life cycle management use cases come in. And the third part of digitization, AI or any technology, is really on change management and improvements within the company, right? So you drive change internally, you invest in those models, you make those technology changes and investment decisions, and that's where you invest in technologies, right? So similar thing for AI, Edge AI, any use case. Think of the domain that the company is in, and in that domain, how can I increase the efficiency? How can I create new revenue streams? And how can I drive change within the company to make sure that we are, agile enough and present for the future? Are the only things that companies will take on an investment spectrum.
I guess that.
Yeah. Next question. I think last that there is some hands are up. Yeah, you go first.
This might be a very stupid question, but it's more of a question on compliance, Let's say we use some, open source AI model. It's open source, its weights and all of these things are released openly, but they don't tell, on what data it is trained on. Let's say if it is trained on some, pirated content or something. So that would be a very huge, mistake or misfire on for compliance. So, as India or this thing, how do we tackle this use case? Or is there any existing, thing which is present to tackle such a?
I think so far like AI journey was with open source. So now slowly it is changing to the licensing model. A lot of companies are working on that. For example, what I know is NVIDIA coming out with licensing models. I think Tusharji, you have good insight into this.
I think we have to see it differently. Yeah. Uh, the use case which I talked about is the MISRA C standard, right? That started quite many years back. And it has all the rules and guidelines and advisories and what you need to follow and all that. And these models, they actually validates your semantic and syntactic words and the type ahead, like while you are writing the code, what should be the next, and validating your code against those standards. So here, the piracy question does not arise at all, as I'm validating against those standards and rules. Those are defined from that consortium. It's only helping me from the code validation, correction, while I'm using refactoring. And there again, when I'm doing refactoring, I can write both the cases, the positive and negative. And it knows that syntactically, is it right? The rule-wise, is it right? So that is what the job it does. And there I'm not again opening where I talked about the tab 9, where I'm not, and the open source models, right? So there again, I'm not going to have all my data as it resides within my boundary. Right? So the piracy, and when it is open source, this MIT and Apache license. It is not piracy. Crowd, everybody contributes. Much solid. Rather than while using GitHub Copilot open one, you don't know, I mean, many of you might have tried, you don't know what answers and what code it suggests. Rather, we have to be more mindful looking at there than the open source models. I would rather put it differently.
So I think we can take some more questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, Akshay, you want to?
So just to add to that, I think so it's also important on the industry level to understand the differentiators. What kind of data are you really retrieving? Typically, as an organization, your robotic products, typically it's a protected data versus open source, right? A classic example, like the industry learns from setbacks, for example, ransomware, right? Until and unless the industry really learned from it, that's where a lot of IT compliance came into picture. Is the same going to be with AI as well, right? There are going to be, setbacks, there are going to be in future, and that's where we start learning. And when I mentioned earlier that certifications where engineers really start understanding that there is a certification for security AI as well.
I mean, potentially for entrepreneurs in this room, by the level of questions we're getting, I think AI security is the next big thing to invest in, right? So startups, I mean, I think that's the space. After cybersecurity and all, now it's AI shields and AI securities that.
Rightly said, Manan. So we can take few more questions?
We can take it one-on-one, sir.
Yes.
So in case
yeah,
there
madam,
are
I
any-
think last, madam. Yeah, madam is
So one
raising
last
question.
one, maybe.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Aradhya Bansal from Forbes Marshall. So throughout the today's session, we talked about AI in various sectors, healthcare, energy. But I feel like we untouched the sectors where the internet is the problem. For example, there are certain industries whose use cases are such that internet cannot be reached there, such as underwater or mining. So how can we implement AI there? Or is it already being done or something is in progress? Because as we all know that models need to be updated and retained again and again. So if there is no internet, that would be a challenge. That's my question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you answered the question yourself because I think where there is no internet, of course, it is, train somewhere, deploy it on the field, right? It's a deployment strategy, and then how do we continuously improve it as we go ahead? There are models available for that. There are a lot of, technologies, and practically, I'm a, business guy, so practically, I'll tell you, right? If it has to make sense, right, to put AI. It's not that hey, you put AI for the sake of AI, right? So if you really go to the marine use cases, for example, there are a lot of digital twin use cases where everybody's talking about digital twins now, right? But it only makes sense from an ROI perspective in a country like India to do it for extreme or very complex assets, for example, right, where human intervention is very difficult. Otherwise, I mean, the cost will never sustain, right? So similarly on marine and all of that, right, what's that use case which AI can drive where, human intervention and accuracy is, challenged, is where we should look at. And for that, I think there could be enough data training offline and then deployment on field, and regular updation could be possible, right? I mean, the world is looking at that, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
I think remaining
Yeah,
question, we can get it offline and answer later
We
on.
can,
Yeah.
so
Thank you.
I know